think we are live. Let's make sure our audio is good. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. Check, 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 check. Hope everybody's having a wonderful... That sounds good, which is great. Just going to do a quick putting session this evening. Been a little while since we've been on the Pels Tutor, and it's important to stay consistent. Nope. Missed on the left side there. Right back on track, which is good. Hey, Elias is here. Sycamore is here. What's up, fellas? Let's go. Great success. Sycamore has the flu. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, my dude. The honest answer, Elias, is it really depends. Depends on the time of day, you know, how I'm swinging it. But generally speaking, I'm carrying it anywhere from like 255 to 275 in the air. And working hard to get that even higher with more consistency. If you've seen any of the live streams or content from Swing Speed Rhode Island, that's what I'm working on with Mike, is, you know, getting stronger, getting faster, both in the gym and with some speed training. Let's go. Hope you start feeling better soon, Sycamore. That is not fun. Whatever's going around this year, this winter, has been brutal. Same as you. That's cool, Elias. Keep up the hard work. I do miss hitting this 2-iron. Maybe someday I'll put it back in the bag. Right down the center. That's what we love to see, guys. Alfie's here. Age Car is here. Hey, Paul. I am doing just fine. Had a really good day today. You know, spirits are good. Body feels pretty good. My back's a little tired, but that's okay. Had a great workout and got to play 2 full rounds on the sim this morning. That was pretty fun. Anytime you can, you know, do a whole warm-up, a workout, and then play 2 rounds on the sim before 8:30 in the morning. That's a good way to start your day. And then I got home, took a little nap because I was up at 4. Then I had some work to do. I'm very lucky that my consulting work is flexible. And then, had a long meeting this afternoon and then hopped on the live stream. So all is good. We did get about 6 inches of snow overnight, which isn't my favorite. Just delaying the golf season that much more. But, comes with the territory. Had a few nice birdies. Alfie says, I'm Beast Sniper. Oh, hey. My channel is going nowhere. Well, it takes a lot of time, my dude. It's going to take months and months or even years of consistent posting and trying to figure out what works best for you and building an audience. I think because of the internet, we have this idea that these things happen quickly, but they just don't. It took me 6 months of posting every day and live streaming just to get monetized. And I post a lot, right? I've filmed a lot. I've worked hard at, making my videos better and getting better at editing. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. There's tons of success stories out there of people who, weren't successful at first, but they just stayed consistent. They believed in themselves. That's how you accomplish growth and achieve success. Pretty cool though, guys. We're about to hit 8,000 on YouTube and coming up on 15,000 on Instagram, which is pretty cool. Kind of crazy to think that there's, more than 20,000 people out there who are interested in what I have to say and do. That's pretty cool. I've got some exciting, brand opportunities coming. Here in Iceland, it's about 1 foot of snow in the backyard. Oh, man. Paul says you need to talk to your audience a lot. That's good advice for Alfie. Yeah, you want people to feel like they know you a little bit, right? What excites you? What are you working on? If I was just a guy who played golf, that would be mildly interesting, but I also talk about other things. I talk about my sobriety. I talk about mental health that's important to me. I'm pretty outspoken about current events. I hesitate to call, I was going to say politics, but it's not politics, right? I talk about things like empathy and treating people like human beings and, trying to stick to your morals. Those are not political things. It's just the moment we live in that has charged them. But I also am someone who believes that not speaking up or being silent is tacit endorsement or at a minimum compliance with what's going on. And, I'm not going to wake up in a decade and think to myself, man, I had this little platform. I could have spoken out. I could have said something and I chose not to. For what? Because it might impact my brand or some company might not want to work with me because I said something they didn't like. Cool. That's totally fine. I'm just going to stick to who I am and talk about things that are important to me. And if people want to listen to that, then great. And if not, that's great too. Because I love making videos and trying to find ways to be entertaining and speak to things that resonate with people. But it's not going to be for everyone. The same way, Alfie, your channel isn't going to be for everyone. That doesn't exist. So my best advice is just be yourself, post consistently, and your people will find you the same way my people have. Nice. Going to be cooking up some nice, some salmon for dinner with some salad. Oh, we missed on the left. Pretty excited about that. Since I mean, you guys have seen the, you know, the workouts I've been doing and posting about that stuff. But with that, I've also been trying to, you know, eat healthier, get some more protein in my diet. Can you putt with one hand? I probably could. Hey, Wombat, what's up? Good luck on the journey to +3. Thanks for being here. Guess which finger? Sorry, I meant Elias. Yeah, we can putt with one hand. I'm going to guess Paul's going to say the left index finger. But don't you need a thumb too, Paul? It is a really good drill to learn how to hit putts with both hands. You know, I can remember watching Tiger do that, warming up before rounds sometimes. Boom. Success. Left and right-handed. Really solid putt right there. Super happy with that. The quality of that stroke. PJ's back. What's up? I like bourbon, though. That's okay. I'm Scottish, but I can't eat salmon or drink whiskey. That's okay. To putt, you need a putter. That is also true. No argument from me. I honestly found it very entertaining over the last couple weeks seeing all the people come out of the woodwork to be like, man, I was here for golf, and now that you're talking about, you know, politics or something that isn't golf, I'm out of here. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't necessarily understand this feeling of like, you gotta, you know, let somebody know that you don't approve. Like, you could just stop watching my channel or unsubscribe, or, you know, people do it every day. And I don't say that flippantly, guys. You know, I'm incredibly grateful to everybody who supports me and spends time, you know, like hanging out, watching these live streams or watching my videos and my content. But at the same time, if you aren't on board with things like basic human rights and empathy, I simply don't want you here. You know, this is not a democracy. There's no free speech. And if people say things that are hateful or bigoted or homophobic, you're just going to get blocked. And I'm never going to think about it again. Because it's important that as a community, the community that I am working on curating, people need to feel, you know, safe and comfortable. They won't be saying that if there's a civil war. I agree with you, Ben Hogan. Drive that ball. Well, this is a putter. But we are doing our best to get the ball in the hole. Let's go. Do you think the P7 MBs are blades? Yes. MB stands for muscle back, which is, you know, another word for a blade. I don't care. Drive it 100% power. I wish, dude. If this wasn't my house, maybe I'd consider it. But, you know, when there's a hole in the wall and you got to call somebody to fix it, now I'm the guy that has to fix it. Saturday, I chopped down a tree in my backyard. That was kind of fun and different. Whoa. not just a golfer, guys. I can, you know, I know enough to be dangerous with a power tool in my hand, which is always fun. You can live stream that too. Imagine if we were live streaming the, you know, working on the house. I don't know how entertaining that would be, maybe. But yeah, took the tree down, chopped it up into a bunch of little pieces. Had to get up on the roof and fix a hole that some squirrels had gotten into. Whoa. Down. Also, what do you guys think about having a more regular schedule? I'm thinking about like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday at maybe like 4 o'clock Eastern. And just being like, that's when we're streaming, you know, 3 times a week, every week. Just to have a little consistency. I think that's something that's been lacking with my live stream schedule. It's hard for people to know, you know, this is when he's going to be around. Or, you know, I turn it on and it's like, oh, he's here, but, you know, what if you're busy or whatever? How often do you live stream? Well, before the holidays, PJ, we were streaming pretty close to every day. And, you know, life gets busy. It's been a little less frequently recently, but that's sort of what I'm getting at now, is trying to think about a more regular schedule that's both sustainable, but regular such that, you know, people can dial in. That's a great idea. Okay, I love it. It was going to be a golden age, but it's not looking that way for normal Americans. Golden age for him and his rich buddies. That's about it. I know. Welcome to the live. This is a safe place for all people. I love that, Elias. Yeah, I'm happy you're here, PJ. Let's go. Whoa. Yeah. I think you are very correct, Paul. You know, we're talking about like attacking NATO allies. You know, we're sending masked agents of the state to round people up in cities all across the U.S. And let's not forget, guys, it is not about, you know, they are trying to intimidate people in places that they don't like. There are 2 million undocumented people in the state of Texas, and yet they are surging ICE agents to Minneapolis, where the entire state of Minnesota has maybe a little over 100,000 undocumented people. So there are 20 times more in Texas. But why are there not, you know, again, I don't need to convince you, Paul, but my frustration is with the hypocrisy of all of it. Like, you claim it's about the law, and yet you people support the guy who was found guilty of sexual assault and a convicted felon. So do you really care about the law? Or do you just not like brown people? And my analysis as a, you know, educated, smart person is the latter. Yes, exactly right, Paul. How old are the superstars? They are 4 and 5. They are snuggled up downstairs. It's going to be even colder here in the next day or two. But I'll be honest, guys, there are a lot of people on the internet that do not like when you call them out for this stuff. And that, if anything, just makes me want to do it more. Right? I made a post on Instagram about, you know, everybody deserves human rights. Pretty basic stuff. You know, you'd think most people could get behind that. And somebody wrote, relapse incoming. Like I was going to, you know, relapse with my sobriety. I'm like, man, that's a pretty harsh thing to say to somebody that I don't think you would say in person. Right? But the good news is that I'm, you know, very secure in my sobriety and who I am as a person and my principles, and that kind of stuff doesn't really faze me. But I think it just speaks to, you know, the willingness people have to say awful things. And, you know, I have so little tolerance for it. Hey, Clicks is here. Change your account. Very cool. I know the stroke is looking pretty good. 0 degrees here. Oh, Terry's here. What's up, Terry? That's why they ban me, because I give them. I don't hold back. People are people. Leave them alone. Absolutely right, Paul. People are people. You know, when you call them illegals or criminals, all you're doing is dehumanizing these people, right? That is a tactic of war. That is, you know, how soldiers talk about enemy soldiers. Because it's easier to kill somebody if you don't think about them as a person with a family and children. They're doing the exact same thing to people because they don't have the right paperwork. Because they are guilty of the crime of trying to survive in the world. It is dehumanizing propaganda, and we have to call it out for what it is. It is unacceptable. This whole thing, Paul, is just, you know, pretty blatant, bald-faced white Christian nationalism. It's not conservatism. It's not, you know, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it what it is. It's white Christian nationalism. Oh, got the face a little shut on that one. I want to say my brother's girlfriend is a black girl. She's an absolute angel. She's so nice. Yeah, see, again, once you... I've been very fortunate in my life to travel to lots of different countries and experience different cultures. And once you realize that everyone all over the world, despite the language they speak or what they look like, they all want the same things. They want security for their family, you know, some optimism for the future, a job that is, you know, rewarding and pays their bills. You know, that is universally true. And once you understand that, your capacity for hating these people, or, you know, you see right through the propaganda, right? They're trying to convince you, like, oh, you know, these people are the reason why your rent is so high and you can't afford gas and groceries. And you're like, no, it's not. That you're trying to convince me of something so that I'll hate those people instead of the people, the rich people, the oligarchs, who are actually making life harder for us, right? You know, it's like that meme of the guy with the cookies, and there's a white guy and a brown guy across the table from each other, and the white guy has one cookie, the brown guy has none, and then there's like a rich white guy holding all the cookies, like a whole plate of them, and the rich old guy is saying, he's your problem. And it's like, no, dude, I see you. You have all the cookies. Share the damn cookies with the rest of us. Sorry, I'm getting worked up because this stuff really frustrates me. But it's good practice for, you know, elevating your heart rate to see if you can still make putts, I guess. 16 in PA. Where in PA? I like PA a lot. -2 in Iceland. Wow. Poorest countries are the friendliest people. You're exactly right, Paul. I've told this story before, but, you know, one of my favorite memories of going to Egypt was visiting this Nubian village. These people live on an island in the Nile River. They live in abject poverty. The roads are filled with rubble and trash. They hardly have, you know, sanitation and running water. And yet these people, who clearly, you know, don't have very much, welcomed us into their home, you know, spent hours and hours preparing this amazing spread of food and welcoming us, you know, into their home. They played songs and sang and danced with us. I mean, these people could not afford to do that, but they were the most hospitable people I think I've ever met. And I can't have had that experience and then come back to America and be like, you know what, the problem is all the immigrants. Like, what are we talking about? I'm glad you're here, Clicks. Spot on, water off a duck's back. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is everyone getting banned? I hope I don't get banned, but maybe. Boom. You know, I got into it with somebody, Pinto Beans, you know, who you guys used to see on the stream. He was like, you know, you're not willing to engage with people, you know. And I'm like, yes, you are correct. I am not willing to engage with someone who thinks that whether someone has the right documents or not is how we should judge their character. I'm not interested in having that debate, and I'm just not going to do it. So you're right. I'm going to block you, and I'm going to move on with my day. If you want to have a debate about, what would be an effective mechanism for updating our immigration system that's broken, we can have that conversation. But someone saying, I don't like illegal people, I'm not going to debate with you. Because I believe that those are human beings who are worthy of, a dignified existence. You can't convince me that somebody who has the mental, the fortitude and the will to survive to, travel across the world to come here or walk across the literal desert at great risk to their own safety, that person isn't someone that our culture and our society could benefit from. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know if I would have that in me. But that sheer will to survive and to, escape an awful situation somewhere else, that takes real fortitude. And I believe that we all benefit from people like that. Nice. Can you beat the windmill? I always have trouble with that one when I play mini golf. I don't think I've ever beat the windmill. I'm not sure I've ever once successfully beaten that last hole of mini golf. I'm with you, bro. It's hard. Even if it was 3 years, Paul, like something, right? But you can't tell me that people who are here legally and doing everything that they're told to do, and they're like, well, your court date is in 6 years, check in with us every few months. Those are not people who are criminals or breaking the law. They are doing precisely what was asked of them. These people work hard, they pay taxes. You're exactly right, though, Paul. They are going to use this to implement the surveillance state that a lot of us have seen coming for a while now. They didn't build Palantir to not use it. All right, perfect set so far. 3 more to go. This is going to be my last set of the evening, guys. My neighbor's an elderly lady. I was supposed to shovel her trash can out of the snow. Instead, I shoveled her entire porch. See, that's the simple things, guys. That is how you build up your community. I'm so proud of you, Elias. It probably didn't take you that much extra time, maybe 10 or 20 minutes. But you probably made that person's day much better. That's how community works. That's how people take care of one another. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to celebrate and highlight on my channel, because that's the little things that make a big difference in the long run. Let's go. All right, guys, let's see if we can make this last one for a perfect set. Let's go. 10 out of 10. Love to see it. Whew. I got to stretch my back and make some dinner. We'll be back soon. More good content, live streams. If you haven't already, guys, smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button for me. And we'll see you next time.